Hello everyone, I'm Denise Oliver, the nurse educator at Awali Hospital in the Kingdom of Bahrain. Tonight we will discuss the myths and facts around the newly released COVID-19 vaccines, and I have with me Dr. Sayed Raza, the cardiologist, consultant and physician at Awali Hospital to clarify these myths and facts about the newly released COVID-19 vaccine. So, doctor, if I have already had COVID-19, I don't need a vaccine, right?
First of all, thank you very much, Dennis, for inviting me here. Now, with the first question, the question is, if I have COVID-19, do I need a vaccine? Now, yes, the answer to this is yes, you definitely need a vaccine, because once somebody has COVID-19, the person will generate some antibody and will get some immunity, but this immunity, mind you, will not last for long. This will last maximum for about 3 months. So my answer to that is that even if you had COVID-19, you have got to get the vaccine.
So if I'm not at risk for severe COVID-19 complications, as I have good immunity, doctor, do I need the vaccine?
Yes, I think that's a very good question, Dennis, and a very practical one. And a lot of people have got this misconception or the wrong perception that they have a good immunity or they are able to boost their immunity, and meaning thereby they do not need the COVID vaccine. Now, this is absolutely false or a myth. Now, let me tell you that it is very difficult to know about someone's immunity. Like, I do not know my own immunity. Perhaps you will not know your own immunity. As you know, for measuring blood pressure, we have sphygmomanometer. For measuring temperature, we have thermometer. Unfortunately, to measure immunity, we do not have any gadget or an instrument. So it is very difficult to say whose immunity is strong and whose immunity is weak. So I would recommend that everybody should be vaccinated against COVID-19. So do not go with the wrong perception that you have good immunity. So you have got to take the vaccine.
Okay, doctor. So COVID-19 vaccines has a lot of side effects, as it can cause paralysis and blood clots. Is that right, doctor?
Yeah, first of all, let me clarify that many people are apprehensive. They have got that fear that COVID vaccine, they cause a lot of side effects. Now, the first and foremost point is that these are not side effects. These are immune reactions. So this is essentially how your body or how your immune system reacts to the vaccine that may give you some fever, headache, and so on. But it has been reported through trials and also after the vaccines have been rolled out that there are cases where blood clots and paralysis have happened. Now, I'm going to put forward to you few facts and figures here. Now, during the vaccine trials and after the vaccines have been rolled out, 7 million doses of Johnson & Johnson vaccine were given. And out of these, only 6 of them developed blood clots. And these were mainly the blood clots in the brain. Now, to take that percentage, that will account for 0.0000008%. So you can see how less the incidence of these side effects are. Now, talking about the other vaccine, the AstraZeneca, Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine. Here, only 4 people out of the 1 million who were vaccinated had blood clots. Again, if I give you the percentage, it is 0.0004%. Now, pregnancy people or ladies who are on oral contraceptive pills, who are smokers, they have increased risk of developing blood clots. And if somebody develops COVID, then this risk of blood clot increases up to 16%. Some studies also say up to 25%. So if you look at the figure, then the blood clots, the figures or the risk is negligible, almost next to zero. Yes. Now, with regards to the paralysis, again, it has been seen that some people did have some neurological complication. I wouldn't say paralysis. Now, one of them is the transverse myelitis, and only 2 cases, yes, only 2 cases were seen in patients who received the vaccine, the AstraZeneca vaccine. Now, 2 cases again were found of Guillain-Barré syndrome. These are again neurological complications. I'm not going to go into the detail. That were seen once again with Pfizer vaccine. And only about 16 patients were seen to have neurological complications, which are Bell's palsy with another vaccine. So just to give you those figures, in fact, these are complications which are negligible. Yes, and these are very, very small numbers. Now, the other fact is that there is no definite link that has been established between the vaccine and these neurological or hematological complications such as blood clot. So I would say these vaccines are very much safe or absolutely safe, and the people should go ahead and should not be afraid of these complications. Yes, Dennis?
The COVID vaccine, doctor, it was developed with or contains controversial substances, does it?
Again, that's a very common myth. Many people are afraid that, first of all, they think that there are some ingredients that can be harmful, but let me tell you that there are no ingredients or harmful ingredients that have been used in these vaccines. In addition, people are afraid that these vaccines may carry some microchip. There may be some tracking devices, but these are again false. Now, these devices, you can have like an app on your mobile phone to track anyone, but this is absolutely false, and this is a myth. And I know this has been circulating on some social media, but there is no such ingredient or microchip or tracking device that is in the vaccine that you should be afraid of.
Oh, doctor, when this vaccine enters your cells, can it change your DNA?
Not at all. So there are 2 vaccines which are mRNA based. And as you know, one is the Pfizer vaccine and the second one is the Moderna vaccine. So these are the 2 mRNA based vaccines. Now, once the mRNA is introduced into your body with a vaccine, then this mRNA enters your body cells. And inside the cell, this mRNA remains only in the cytoplasm inside the cell. Now, your DNA that has got the genetic coding is inside the nucleus. You can imagine like a shell. So the DNA or the genetic material is protected inside the shell. So the mRNA that is introduced in the vaccine, it does not enter the nucleus. So there's no way that this mRNA is going to interfere in any way with the DNA. And the other fact is that this mRNA particle of the vaccine does its job, and it gets destroyed within, say, 48 to maximum 72 hours, and then it is out of your system.
Oh, that is good to know, doctor. Getting the COVID-19 vaccine means I can stop wearing my mask, right?
Not at all, not at all. No, definitely, please don't do that after you had the first jab or the first shot of the vaccine. But even after the second shot, as you know, the antibody develops after the first shot, and then the maximum antibody develops after the second shot. And to get the antibody to its peak, it takes about 2 weeks after the second shot. Now, only then you're probably protected. Now, again, all vaccines have shown, and the trials have shown that you are not 100% protected. You still need to take those preventive measures like wearing a mask, hand washing, and maintaining that 2 meters or 6 feet distance. So even if you are vaccinated, you have a small risk. Yes, mind you, you have a small risk of contracting the infection in the first place and then transmitting it to others.
Doctor, I received convalescent plasma, and so I am protected and do not need the COVID vaccine, right?
Okay, yes, in the beginning, we saw that convalescent plasma, which actually contains the monoclonal antibodies after patients have recovered from COVID-19. Now, this does give some protective effect if it has been infused to a person or a patient who is a COVID patient. it gives him or her some protection from the antibody. But again, mind you that this protection will only last for about 3 months on an average. Yeah, there is no study or trial to see, definite trial to see how long you will get the protection. But on an average, it is estimated that you will be protected for about 3 months and not beyond. So if you have passed 3 months after the convalescent plasma, then you do need to take the COVID vaccine.
I will only take one shot, doctor. Because of the vaccine, I think this will be enough to protect.
Yeah, so one shot will not be enough, as you know, except for the Johnson & Johnson. So this is a vaccine that has been developed where one shot would be enough. Now, mind you, the efficacy again is about only 72% with Johnson & Johnson. But the rest of the vaccines we have so far all require 2 doses. So first dose is the triggered dose where your immune system is primed or your immune system is activated. And then there's an antibody rise, but this rise is very, very small. But where the antibody is revamped or the vaccine takes, the antibody takes a jump and goes to its peak, it's only after the second dose or the booster dose. And only after 2 weeks of taking the booster dose, you will have enough antibody to protect you from the severe disease of or COVID-19. So you have got to take the second dose. You cannot just take one and then do nothing about it.
Doctor, researchers, they rushed the development of this COVID-19 vaccine. So its effectiveness and safety, can it be trusted?
Well, many people, when these vaccines were rolled out after the trials have been completed, and a lot of people were apprehensive, they were afraid, and they were also confused that these vaccine trials, they were done in a hurry, and these vaccines were rolled out in a short span of time. And as you know, this is the vaccine for COVID-19 that has been developed within 1 year. A lot of vaccines, they take a number of years, some take even 10 years to develop, and they can be injected to the human being. Now, let me tell you that when this COVID-19 vaccine was developed, all the policies and procedures were taken care of, and none of these steps were missed or skipped. In addition, all the safety checks were regularly followed, and all the regulatory authority had a close eye on how these vaccines were being developed. And there were independent bodies who looked at that these vaccines are not only efficacious, but they're also safe. Now, why these vaccines were developed so soon? There are actually 3 reasons to this. One, as you know, during this COVID pandemic, this is like a global medical emergency. So it's a global medical emergency that triggered the scientists all over the world to develop the vaccine and develop the vaccine as soon as possible. So that's point number 1. The second reason why these vaccines were developed so soon is because there were no dearth or deficiency of funding. The money was there. Government of different countries around the world, they infused a lot of money or resources to the pharmaceutical companies who work day and night to develop these vaccines. Now, the third reason is that to develop a vaccine, we need volunteers for the trials, phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 trials on the human beings, of course. Now, lots and lots of people, tens and thousands of volunteers, they came forward and they participated in these trials. So we had no deficiency of the trial participants. There were enough in numbers to do these trials and get the vaccine, in the market quite soon. And different steps that take place in the trial actually went side by side. So that is one of the reasons, or these are the reasons that these vaccines were developed quite fast. They were actually fast-tracked, so to say.
Well, doctor, people are still getting COVID and they are dying after 1 or even 2 shots of the vaccine.
Sure. So after 1 shot of vaccine, yes, again, as I said, you are not fully protected. And I would say you're just partially protected. So you may get COVID-19 disease and you may have a disease severity. And it may be fatal. Now, if you have taken 2 shots of vaccine, you have completed 2 weeks after the second shot, obviously you have enough antibody to fight against the COVID-19 disease. Now, people, as you say, your question is that people are dying. Now, just remember that COVID-19 disease is the not only reason that the patients or the people will die of. There are other conditions like heart attacks will be there, strokes will be there, severe lung disease, cancer will be there, and a lot of other diseases that will lead to death. So once you get the vaccine and you are protected from COVID, does not mean that you're immune to other illnesses and the disease severity and the death and so on.
Doctor, after having the COVID vaccine, I will not be able to take another vaccine for at least 3 months, right?
Yeah, so that's not correct. Now, if somebody has taken COVID vaccine, then there should be a gap of 2 weeks, not 3 months, but 2 weeks. And that there's no special reason for this, but it is just if you have 2 vaccines quite close to each other, then if you develop side effects, so we'll not know which vaccine has caused these side effects or the immune reaction, I call it. I don't say side effects. So it is recommended that if you have COVID vaccine, then if you have to take another vaccine, say for example, flu vaccine, then you have to keep a gap of at least 2 weeks before or after.
I cannot have the vaccine, doctor, because I am using blood thinners. Is that correct?
Yes, again, this has to be clarified. And as you know, there are lots and lots of people around who are on blood thinners. Now, let me clarify that there are 2 types of blood thinners. And one is antiplatelet. And these antiplatelets are like aspirin, clopidogrel, commonly in the market. We have them as Plavix. And then there are other group of blood thinners which are much more stronger blood thinners. And these are called anticoagulants, which again come in different name products, Eliquis, and so on. Now, if you are on antiplatelets, aspirin and like tablets, then there is no reason why you cannot take the vaccine. But when you are on anticoagulant, when you go to take the vaccine, just warn them that you are on anticoagulant so that you take or they take some extra precaution, because it may sometimes cause a little bit of bruising and nothing beyond that. But this would again go away in a few days. There is another anticoagulant called warfarin. Now, if the people are on warfarin, then obviously you need to check the INR level, which is the blood thinning level of warfarin. And we have to ensure that the dose of the warfarin is adjusted such that the INR level is brought between 1.5 and 2. And this is just to avoid severe bleeding or bruising. Okay, so you have to adjust the dose of warfarin and bring it from 1.5 to 2. And then it should be safe to take the vaccine.
Currently, doctor, I am on antibiotics. So may that will interact with the vaccine?
Absolutely no interaction. So whatever antibiotic you're on, you can continue the antibiotic. And at the same time, you can take the vaccine. There's no issue at all.
And doctor, my friend is pregnant and my other friend is breastfeeding. And is it a risk for them to take the vaccine, and may it harm the fetus or their baby?
Yes, good, Dennis, you raised this question. And again, it becomes important for the pregnant mothers, pregnant ladies and breastfeeding mothers. Now, let me tell you that there is absolutely no contraindication for pregnant ladies as well as breastfeeding mothers for taking COVID-19 vaccine. Now, during the trials, the vaccine trials, the COVID-19 vaccine trials, remember, no pregnant ladies or breastfeeding mothers were included. Now, during the course of these trials, around 5% of the ladies, they did become pregnant and they were followed up. Now, it has been seen that it did not have any adverse effect on the fetus. And they had completely or live birth and healthy babies they delivered. So there's no contraindication for taking vaccine for these pregnant ladies. Now, similarly for the breastfeeding mothers, there is no contraindication. They can go ahead and take the vaccine. And some researchers have also shown that these antibodies are generated in the breast milk, and they can, as a matter of fact, be protective for the babies. So yes, absolutely no contraindication.
I am on dialysis, doctor. So the vaccine will be harmful or its efficacy will be lost?
No, it will not be lost. So the vaccine is not going to be lost during the course of the dialysis. And patients of chronic kidney disease who are on dialysis, obviously they are high risk group to develop the severity of the COVID-19 disease. So keeping that in mind, the patients of chronic kidney disease, even if they are on dialysis, even if they had a renal transplant, they should take the vaccine. Not only those patients who are on immunosuppressants after the renal transplant, they have got to discuss it with their physician and who will guide them whether the vaccine will be safe or not. But by and large, patients of chronic kidney disease, they should go ahead and get the vaccine.
Doctor, when I'm fasting for Ramadan, taking the vaccine will void my fast?
Well, this is a very common question, and a lot of my family members, not family members, my relatives and friends, they actually phoned me and they asked me that, should I take the vaccine? Is it going to void my fasting? Now, again, it is not going to void your fasting. Even if you are fasting for Ramadan or for any other reason, then please go ahead and take the vaccine. It is not going to void your fasting.
Getting immunity naturally is safer than getting it from a vaccine, right, doctor?
Well, getting immunity naturally, I mean, that's what you're hinting at. People, they eat a lot of herbs, they drink a lot of green tea, take multivitamins, take vitamin C and so on. Now, again, as I said, that we cannot be sure about our immunity to get the immunity naturally and then avoid the vaccine. I think this is a myth. And there's lots circulating in the social media about this immunity boosters and so on. But I would say that please don't be fooled by that and don't be overconfident about your immunity. And the only advice I can give is that please go ahead and get the COVID-19 vaccine.
I had blood clots before, doctor. So this COVID vaccine, can it give me blood clots again?
No, again, if somebody had a blood clot previously before having the vaccine, then there must be a reason why that person had a blood clot. Now, getting the COVID-19 vaccine in a patient who had previously had blood clot is not going to increase the risk of having another blood clot. So absolutely false. So even if you had blood clot in the past, you can still take the vaccine safely.
Doctor, I have now asked you a lot of myths and given you a lot, and you have given a lot of facts. So thank you very much, doctor, for clarifying all of this for me. I'm very happy that I could have asked you all these questions, and thank you for your time, doctor.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Only I would say that please don't be afraid of the vaccine, and please go ahead. It is the strongest weapon you have to fight COVID-19, and get yourself vaccinated as soon as possible. Thank you very much, Dennis, for having me here.
Thank you, doctor. Definitely we're going to apply for that.